Hey guys, Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video. So we have a new Heroes Path event. This one is called the Revenant Path. I'm not particularly sure why we've gone the Knights Revenant theme. There seems to be no relevance other than just the fact that there's a Knight Revenant Dragon tournament. But there we go. We have this new Revenant coin that has been added to the game. And very much like typical Heroes Path events, it's a bit different every single time. And sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't look good. I'm here today to kind of look at the math, the numbers behind the scenes, to kind of look at how much effort is going to be required for you to be able to get some of the rewards you want, and to give my opinion on sort of what you should do with this event, and if you were to go down it, what's the most optimal path. Now, I kind of want to start this video off with a big warning. Now, this is why this video is a bit later than I planned. I wanted to get it out much sooner. Someone in our Discord community DM'd me, a big shout out to Big Goofy One, who basically said, just to let you know, you can't go down this left-hand path or the right-hand path of these hero paths and get this event key. Now, obviously, you need the event key to get the legendary book. And it is very deceptive because if you look at this path here, it suggests you can either go down the epic book or the key or both from the left-hand path. That's not the case. If you want this legendary book, you have to take this middle path for both sides. So if you want to go down the left-hand side to get the chicken and the book, you have to take this middle path. You can skip the left and the right, the outer paths, but you have to take the inner paths. Inner paths will allow you to go both the event key and the book. The outer path will not. So that's a very big warning, guys. Now, some of you may already be sitting watching this going, damn, you're too late. You should have told me about this a couple of hours ago. I was about to record, then I got this DM. I didn't even know about it. It's very deceptive. So that's one warning I want to do. Now, obviously, when we look at the path here, we are getting a lot more souls, which I don't think is a terrible idea. I'd much rather lose some potions and get some soul coins. Now, I wouldn't want to lose energy for soul coins, but that's what they've kind of done. We kind of have two distinct paths here with some bonus entry points. So you need to either go the silver coins route down the left, and then you're going to have to pick up this 5-star chaos, or if you want the legendary book, there's a 5-star chicken. So the left-hand side is more chicken driven. The right-hand side, we've got this tier 2 soulstone. Now, I would say probably in terms of valuation, a tier 2 soulstone and a 6-star chaos ore is going to be more valuable than a 6-star chaos ore here and the 5-star chicken. Obviously, there is another decision point in terms of do you want the essence or the XP barrel if you care for these sort of bonus points. I personally would not worry about any of these points here. The feast is so irrelevant in this game, you know, unless you're trying to burst a champion training point. I've never used a feast. I rarely use a barrel. Again, I'm only using it if I'm trying to burst a champion training event. And 13,000 for 7 tier 2 is a lot of effort to grind. So I wouldn't be worrying about my decision with these. I'm literally choosing between this soulstone and this 5-star chicken. And I think the soulstone is better than the 5-star chicken. Now, to get to the legendary book path, you need to pick up the key and you need to pick up one of the sides. It's actually quite efficient when we look at some of the points to get this legendary tome, but we need to keep an eye on that. So this event is going to be a get artifacts. So it's dungeon divers and it's also summoning shards. Now, I had a conversation with a few people on Discord about this 1+1, and I do agree that when we had this preview event, they should have been quite clear to say what the events are going to be in this Heroes Path. They kind of were a little bit cheeky, a little bit deceptive potentially, launching a 1+1 event and then everyone going and doing that, then immediately going, oh, by the way, if you did that summoning, you could have got these Revenant coins. The good thing is, obviously, this is going to last until beyond the weekend. So the times 10 on the weekend and whatever other events we might have potentially. There's loads of rumors swirling around some guaranteed events. That could be, you know, potentially fine because you might decide you want to invest your shards there. If you haven't done the 1+1, then obviously you might now decide I'm double dipping. I'm personally not doing the 1+1, but I do agree with a lot of the community who are feeling a little bit deceived that they weren't aware that this was going to be a summoning one, because they would have probably burnt a number of shards to get this 1+1 that they could have saved until today and still got out all the same benefits. So what I would say is a PSA to Plarium, if they're listening to this video, I think it's right that you should list in the preview of this path, hey, this is going to be a artifact enhancement and training, or this is going to be a dungeon divers and artifact enhancement. So we know what we're going to have to do without knowing the path itself. We can make the decision the day before when this boots up that we don't end up doing what we've done now, which is summon all the champions from our 1+1 early, and now we can't actually get as many points. We're basically wasting resources. So that's the intro to the Revenant's Path here. I probably would recommend you get some points to get the 500 tier 1 and the 100 gold coins. I think that's pretty low investment. You know, I've done about sort of 8 dragon runs today so far, and I'm already at 700 coins. So that's not a lot of energy investment to be able to get these rewards. And those souls are worth getting. Even if you don't get much luck, it's pretty good to get these middle ones. And then obviously we've got these paths down here. We're going to look at the numbers now to see, you know, how it compares to the previous hero paths and is it worth going for. So I've structured this path as kind of like a 1, 1.1, 1.2, and then we have 2, 2.1, 2.2. So we kind of know that the outer path is 0.1, the inner path is 0.2. Now the path we're going to want to do as the most optimal is obviously path 2 with 2.2 and path 1 with 1.2, basically ignoring the outer wings. That's the least amount of coins that we need to get to the legendary book. Now the summon data is the same as the previous hero paths. The dungeon divers is the same as the previous hero paths. They haven't increased the points you gain. They haven't changed anything around. It is the same. But we can do an analysis here, just quickly having a look at what we're going to get. So as you can see, I've mapped out all the different Revenant coins for different types of artifacts you get. And we can basically see the average revenue coin per dungeon stage and obviously the energy per coin. So we're going to get for stage 16, 27.7, for stage 20, 31.4, for stage 24, 32.7, and for stage 25, 33. But you can see that the average coin per energy is better for 16 and 20. So if we want to be efficient with this, it's better to run, so probably stage 20 I would have thought is going to be the best. And we're going to have a look at that now. So in terms of the full rewards, this is what we get in the hero's path. We get a 4-star chicken, a 5-star chicken. There's 20 brews available, 10 core hammers, 1 epic book, 2 event keys, 2 legendary books, some rank and rarity charms. We get 1 rare book, 50,000 silver, an XP boost, 6-star legendary chaos ore, superior arcane potions, and an epic chaos ore here. Then we get lots of new stuff that's never really been in any other hero path apart from the soul coins. They made an appearance in the last hero path. The 5-star chaos ore is new, the tier 2 soul essence is new, the barrel of feast, and the immortal soul stone, the tier 2 soul stone, is new. So we don't really have any analysis. But what I wanted to do was to basically look to see between all the different hero path events, have they changed the cost of individual items in the reward path. So we can see here in the hero path 1 and 2, 2250 was the cost to basically get a 4-star chicken. That's gone up 250. So that's more expensive in this event. But we have saved 600 coins on the 5-star chicken. If we look at a few other analysis here, the epic book is about 50 cheaper. However, the event keys now are 1,000 instead of 300. That changed in the last hero path event as well. So they're a lot more expensive. Versus legendary books, this is the first time a legendary book has been 400 more expensive. It used to be 9,600. It is now 10,000. So the legendary book price has gone up. Overall, it's not too much of a difference. 6-star legendary chaos ore is about 1,000 more expensive, but the superior arcane potions are a little bit cheaper. Same with this chaos ore, it's a little bit more expensive than hero path 3. We don't have any data on the pricing of the feast, the barrel, the immortal soulstone, or the tier 2 soul essence. These are brand new, so we don't have any comparisons. But in terms of here, you know, are they treating us worse off in this event? Technically, yes, because the legendary book is a little bit more expensive. Yes, we're saving a little bit of the 5-star chicken, but the rest is kind of more expensive. So I think on average, yeah, it's a little bit higher. It's also the highest point requirement for completing the whole event. I don't think it's possible to complete the whole event here, but the feast is heavily weighted in that sense because it's 40,000 coins. It's even more expensive than I think the tier 3 soulstone was. So let's have a look at some analysis in terms of numbers. So I've got 4 basic areas I'm looking at here. I'm looking at path 1. If I wanted to go down the path 1 optimal route, which is the inner path, that's going to cost us 36,150 points. If I want to go to path 2, which would be, in my opinion, the better path, is path 2, it is cheaper at 33,400 points. And that's, again, taking the inner path. If we want to reach the feast, the cheapest path to get to the feast is going down path 2, and you would just have to spend 67,900 if you wanted to just get the feast. That is going through the barrel and then to the feast. That wouldn't be getting the tier 2 essence. And then in addition, I've just got a sort of an analysis of all the bonus stuff you would get. So non-path specific rewards. That is the 2 soul coins at the top and the feast and the essences. So in combination, the full cost here would be about 142,000 if you wanted to get everything. That's how many coins you need in total if you want to get all the rewards from this event. But like I said, I actually think you can forget the feast. I don't think it's important. That's a big chunk of the points. And I think if you get the 2 soul stones at the top, and I think if you just get the right hand path, I think that's better. 33,000 points for a legendary book and a tier 2 soulstone is actually solid. If you think in the last training event, there was a tier 2 soulstone and a legendary book at the end, and that was 14,750 training points, this would translate pretty decently into a similar training event. So it's not so bad. So if we were to do this purely on summoning, you would need a total of 7 sacred shards or 30 void shards. Now, what I would say with the math, the way that works out here, voids are much more accessible to completing these hero path summoning events. A lot of people in chat will probably be like, yeah, but getting hold of voids is really difficult. I understand that, but when we look at quantity, if I'm a spender, if I'm thinking in terms of a Kraken head, it's much more expensive for me to buy 32 sacreds than it is for me to buy 130 voids. And it's much more expensive to buy 792 ancients than it's to buy 130 voids. The void shard is more valuable in terms of revenant coin than the other two when you compare it to accessibility. Getting 792 ancients is very, very hard. Getting 32 sacreds is a long-term thing. Getting 130 voids, I've seen people buy 130 voids in one weekend. That's one string pack. I'm not recommending you do it. I'm simply pointing out that in terms of the math, the void shard is much more efficient than the other two shards. You can see here, if I want to get that legendary book, I only have to invest 30 void shards in total. That's excluding the sacred and the ancients. If I want to get it from just ancients, I'm investing 186 ancients. That's a big difference. Now, you could go a mystery shard route here, and you could go 4,000 mystery shards or 3,711 mystery shards, and that would get you to the end of path 2. That's a hell of a lot of work. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but that is an option available to you. So if we have a look on the dungeon diver side of things, we can see all the different stages are mapped out here. I've taken the averages in terms of your return rates for the artifacts. This is numbers that Senti put together like months ago. It's still the same. It's still relevant. So we can see in the top right here, the typical dungeon divers, sort of if it was at 4,500 points. Now, obviously, that might be higher now. I need to check what the averages are for a dungeon divers tournament. But if we had a dungeon divers event and it had 4,500 points, then we would need around about somewhere between 368 to 420 dungeon runs, depending on stage 20 and 16. Those are the most efficient because of the amount of energy you need. You can see if you go to 24, 25, you're investing less runs, but they cost more energy. So it's around about just under 6,000 energy to complete a 4,500 dungeon divers on average. So if we want to have a look at this hero's path, well, if we go down the stage 20 route, to do path 2 optimally, that's the cheapest and easiest path to one legendary book, we are talking around about 1,000 stage 20 runs. That is about 16,000 energy just for one legendary book. So you can quite clearly see that the incentivization of this event is to summon shards with a little bit of dungeon divers. Don't expect that you can just run dungeons and get enough coins. It's not going to happen. It's too much investment. You know, we're talking, if you want to complete the entire event, 72,000 energy on the most efficient way, the most efficient stage. It's actually a little bit more efficient to run it in terms of energy on stage 16, but you have to run a lot more runs. So if we're talking runs here, we're talking about 500 to 600 more runs between stage 20 and stage 16. So I think if you're coming into this event thinking I can just run dungeons, forget about it. That's not going to work. You probably will struggle to even just get the one path done. How does this compare then in terms of efficiency against a Dungeon Divers event? If you want to go down the optimal path, it's about 170 to 172% more resource investment than the Dungeon Divers. Now, the big thing when I do this analysis that a lot of people criticize, and I understand, the Dungeon Divers doesn't contain a legendary book. It doesn't contain all these extra rewards. You're correct. So you have to judge whether the additional cost investment versus the Dungeon Divers and the bonus rewards you get are worth this cost investment. That's all I'm giving you is an analysis of, if I was to do a full Dungeon Divers, how much more energy would I need to run to get to the legendary book? And we can see if we wanted the whole thing, it's about 1,000% more inefficient. So I don't think looking at these numbers, you can kind of go in here and go, I'm just going to run dungeons. But what you can do is offset it. So if we come to the weekend and you want to pull your shards, say like we pull 2 sacreds, say like we pull 30 voids, and say like we pull 50 ancients. That's a good example of just like maybe someone just burning everything on a times 10. Well, you can see if you do that, you'll easily do the path 2. You'll have excess points. And then you can just offset it with a bit of Dungeon Divers. You can put a couple of thousand if you want the feast. You can easily kind of maybe go down path 1 a little bit more. You'll need a bit more points there to get there. So if we're looking at the shards here, if we just want to get that path 2 done, we can have a look and see how the impact of voids actually has. Say like you pull 2 sacreds, that'll get you 9,000 points. You still need 24,000 points. 20 voids will give you 22,000 points. Voids are the way to go if you're going to be summoning for this path event, rather than sacreds or ancients, and ancients are 100% not the case. If I pull 20 ancients, I'm getting 3,600. If I pull 20 voids, I'm getting 22,000. Now, cost-wise, we know that a void is a bit more expensive than an ancient, and we know that a sacred is much more expensive. So if they release a void pack and it has 14 voids in it, for example, that's equivalent to 15,000. Now, 14 voids can range anywhere from between 30, or sort of 24.99, 29.99, up to about 40. There's a pack that goes around a lot, which is 24 voids for £47. If you did the 24 voids, that would give you nearly enough to get that path 2 done. So you could get more investment because you would guarantee that you'd get that legendary book with a bit of dungeon divers here. If we just pulled those 24 voids, we would only need to invest about 3,500 energy, which is probably the investment of energy you would do if you were going for the dragon tournament. As with all these parts, I will save this spreadsheet. I will put it in the description of this video. You can go in and you can mess with it and you can make a copy if you want and do what you like. So the 2 things that I want to kind of summarize with, it's very deceptive that they didn't tell us about the right path. I've already had, Big Goofy kind of go, I've wasted some resources. I can understand his frustration. It looks like you can go the left path when you cannot. And obviously the left path is cheaper. It's significantly cheaper. We're talking half the price here, much more than half the price here for that Chaos Ore. So if you want to get a legendary book and you have some shards you're going to be pulling, 24 voids or like a sacred and a couple of sort of temples of an ancient will get you halfway there, and then you can offset it against dungeon divers. I think working towards this one legendary book is then worth it. If you don't plan on pulling on the weekend, you don't plan on pulling on the 1+1, you might as well forget this event because it is heavily incentivized towards summoning, and it will take you almost like an impossible amount of energy to get anywhere near this legendary book. Obviously, we have a tournament going on right now, which is the Dragon Tournament. It's the final one, I think, of the faction tournaments. I have been going with all these tournaments and getting this coins as a minimum. I skipped the Chaos Ore on the last one, but I will probably pick up a 5-star chicken. 2,100 for a 5-star chicken is very good. If you don't have a Theodore and you don't have sort of a Tomb Lord or a Calvalax, there are some other options you can do. The twins work really well. I myself have been running a team which is not exactly crazy fast. It is stage 20. I'm running this team. I'm running Fortis just for the wave clearing. It's a bit inconsistent, but it does kind of work. And purely because my twins, the Skull Crown and the Sinacia, they're running really slow for a blender, so they wouldn't really work for this kind of content. So I'm running Fortis, and I'm also running Vasulf just to keep my team alive on the boss. He's also got a leech so we can heal, and then Whisper's just going to kill the boss. The less is there for the AoE decreased defense. So that's kind of an option if you don't have those solos. It does it in about 2 to 2.5 minutes. Put it on auto, get those free rewards. They are worth it in my opinion if you've got these champions available to you. So there you go, guys. That is the end of the video. I hope that was of interest to you. I do enjoy these Hero Path events because I think it gives players more choices and more options. I'm not forced into getting this Chaos, or I can choose which path I want to go. Maybe I really need a 5-star chicken because I'm trying to get that 6-star upgrade. Maybe I just want more soul stones. That's my account. So you get more choices. I think they should have been clearer about this. I think they should have been clearer on the preview that it would be a summoning event. Otherwise, it's not as bad as it looks. If you are going to be pulling some shards on the weekend, I probably will end up doing it because times 10s are always interesting. Then if you've got voids, you're going to make a lot of points. Voids is the way to go. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what you think about this event. But until then, guys, I will catch you in the next video.